Good Sunday morning. It's October 23rd, 2022. This is going to be your Mid Atlantic weather outlook. Just look really quick at the headlines. We will see some cloudy skies in the region. There is a low pressure system off the East Coast. We'll have to see how that's going to impact us. Not much west of I-95, that's what I can tell you. We do see above normal temps and not a lot of rain in this forecast. So something we're going to have to be concerned about is getting warmer and drier. Does not bode well for potential fire dangers, as well as just not good that we're that dry. And then we'll look at the model outlook and then the long range in this forecast. So let's look really quick here. What I see here in the region, we do see clouds with the low pressure system off the East Coast. So this is going to be kind of the story today. Only partly sunny skies. Obviously, the further west you go, the more likely you're going to see sunshine. The more sun you see, the warmer you'll be. So the western part should see 70s. Eastern part, really only in the 60s. Along the coast, you're going to really only see right around 60 degrees. Here's some of the rain that's coming on shore from the radar. And most of this, like I said, is not going to make it west of the I-95 corridor. There could be a few showers in some parts of the area, but not really looking for much at all in the way of rain. So let's go ahead and look at the models. We'll obviously look at the short, mid, and long range here in the models. So we'll start off looking at the NAM model. This is a North American model. This is 360 hours out, started earlier today. So what we're looking at is that cloudiness and shower activity, like I mentioned, from this low off the East Coast. And general models really have had a hard time. I thought it was going to be much wetter than it has been. Because of some of the early model runs. But you can see, as I mentioned, as it's kind of going up the East Coast, not really getting its act together, not much is happening. What we do see is a nice return flow and warmer temperatures that we'll see into the early part of next week. So this goes out through Tuesday. You do see rain way off here in the distance, but I'm not optimistic that we're going to see much. And we'll actually go down to the longer range to show you kind of what I'm talking about. But in general, as you can see, very dry conditions. Highs daily up around 70 degrees. We do have a little bit of onshore flow, so it won't be completely cloud free. We'll see some cloudiness, especially today. Obviously, as that low pressure system is there. But you saw that there was still some unsettledness along the East Coast, and that's going to kind of plague us this week as far as clouds. So now we're looking at the global forecast model for the overall view of things. And we can see here in the setup, here's that low off the East Coast. Remember, here we are in the Mid-Atlantic region. And this low we'll see as it goes up. There is a big low out here to the west, very strong, low pressure. So there's a lot of winds here. And there's going to be severe weather this forecast for the next couple of days here in the middle part of the country and then along the Gulf regions over the next couple of days. But this low, as it moves east, you're going to see the moisture just kind of dry up as it hits against this drier ridge and air mass here in the east. So that low gets going up into Canada. Another low forms on the southern part of the front. That's what's going to kick off some more of that severe weather. And it was my hope that we'd actually see some rain about midweek. But you're going to see as it runs into this strong kind of blocking and high pressure here on the east, that it dries up the system fairly quickly. Look at that. The showers just kind of fade. The storm kind of opens back up, and it's not much to consider. It does try to pull some cooler air. At one point, it looked like it was going to pull it into our region, but it really doesn't. And all week now, we are now in what is called a zonal flow. What you're not seeing anymore is no deep troughs or, buckles in the jet stream. We see a very uniform kind of warm look for the entire United States. And that's exactly what the forecast models and the Climate Prediction Center is showing. As we get further out, this is next weekend, because there's a high pressure system up here to the north, and we can see the winds are off the ocean, it's a chance this could make it a cloudier weekend and maybe even some light showers. It's not going to be a washout, but it's also not going to be the sunniest of weekends. So we may see some showers next weekend, and we are pretty dry, so this will be somewhat helpful. Now we're getting to La La Land. So we've gone out past next Saturday, Sunday time frame, and that high pressure system is really trying to hold pretty tight. There's even cold air damming or colder air damming up east of the mountains. I have to see how this plays out, but that could be a little bit cooler. And we do try to get some moisture going as some storminess kind of comes together. But I'm in La La Land here. Once you get past about 5 to 7 days, what exactly is going to happen is really, really out there. So instead of looking at this, let's look instead and see kind of what the upper level pattern looks like in North America. So what you're looking at here is way up in the atmosphere. This is where you're seeing jet stream kind of level activity and what's happening. So here in the west, you can see that pretty deep low pressure system we were talking about. Again, is the upper levels of the atmosphere. We also see the warming that we're seeing here in the east, and it's definitely warmer. So we're going to move this forward. We'll see that trough come down. As I said, it's kind of lifting up. It's running into this high, this blockiness here. So this stuff's not moving out of the way. It's also just drying up and destroying the energy from this low pressure system. And that's why we don't look like we're going to get much rain. Now, there was that follow-up storm that we saw kind of trying to form and maybe going to do something next weekend. But again, a lot of high pressure system here we see kind of blocking any moisture moving north. And also our winds are generally from the west or southwest, keeping us pretty mild and dry. Now, in the longer range, now we're getting past, we're looking now, look at this is about Halloween time. So the west is going to cool down again. We're going to be really warm, as it looks like a trough's going to try to set up here in the country. We'll have to see how this pans out, because although early it looks like that cold air gets dumped to the west, later things start to look a little bit different, and maybe we get a cool down here in the east. And that's pretty good deep trough. So this could be a pretty significant storm if this is right. This is so far off. Again, we got to think this is, take it with a grain of salt. You can see here there's even some tropical activity showing up in this model. But this is all forecast models. This is why, you look at it, you see if there's some pattern developing, see if there's any case. It does look like maybe some more dipping here in the east. It also looks transient, meaning like if we get cold, it ain't going to stay. But I mean, that's typical in fall. And then we kind of warm back up. So again, it's hard to say if this is even true, if this is exactly how things will pan out. I wouldn't bet on a hurricane. I wouldn't bet that we know that we get this big nor'easter type of storm that looks like it's going to form on this. It's just the way the forecast models are showing. And this is the American model. So let's go with the European now and see what it's showing. There's that trough, that low pressure system. It kind of holds a little longer together. It still dries up for us, by the way. No real chances of rain. That blockiness is shown on there as well. What I mean by blockiness is high up here to the north, kind of shearing out or pulling apart our energy if there's any chance of rain. Now it gets a little low pressure system just like before, kind of coming together, and then that falls apart. And then the long range, they don't go out as far. So this goes out till the 1st of November. And again, I think there's some alignment here that looks like we'll have cooler conditions on the West Coast and definitely a really warm up. We could see some really warmer temperatures here as we start off, like Halloween and the first part of November, and then maybe a cool down, and then, it doesn't go any further out on this. Usually when you see this type of pattern, there's a little bit of a trough in the west. I mean, this isn't going to be anything that's helpful for us to get cold air if you like it, but that's just kind of the way it goes. Does not look super wet either on any of this. All right, that was the long range there for you. I just wanted to show you the precip over the next 7 days. Actually, I was going to show you 2 maps here just to show you there are regions in this area that are really dry. I think some of this is a little bit optimistic on how much rain could fall, but it's really low anyway. I mean, it's not like we're talking major amounts. Mountains seem to enhance a little bit, and there's a little bit of enhancement here in the middle part of Maryland, and I just don't know where that's coming from. This is some of that nor'easter moisture here along the east. But I just don't know if this is going to really pan out this way. In the long range, obviously already the climate predictor is showing those warmer than normal temperatures. And as of yesterday, so that's when this map was issued, they were a little more optimistic that we'd have wetter conditions. So in the 6 to 10 day, there's a, okay chance of some wet conditions and a little bit of chance of above normal precipitation. I don't see it really, but maybe the onshore flow next weekend will give us some moisture. We'll have to see. And honestly, that's the Mid-Atlantic weather outlook for this Sunday, October 23rd, 2022. Have an awesome week. Unless there's major weather changes going on, I won't really do much updates video-wise unless it makes sense. Look soon for the winter weather outlook, and that's all I got to share.